let's go live. How about that? Hey, this is John Park, and I am here in my workshop. Welcome to the pre-show. We have about a couple minutes here of pre-show while we try to get audio levels straightened out because they're acting a little funny at the moment. All right, going live on Facebook. Here we go. Okay, well, I'm going to check out the chats over in Discord and see if we can get... Audio is great. Okay, well, thank you for saying so. It's weird. It's showing up as really low in the monitor inside of my broadcasting software. I'm also picking up a lot of noise today. It was something changed. Audio is a never-ending journey. Okay, hey, Matabale. Hey, Nis. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you give me a second here, I'm going to go ahead and find my YouTube. And I will check out the chat there and in Discord. If you are joining us in Periscope or Twitch or in Facebook, more of the chat is happening in Discord. So head to our Discord server, which if anyone in our Discord can tell me what's the sort of public-facing address for someone to find the Discord chat, that would be great. And let me pop open the YouTube chat as well. So thanks for your patience with me while I get this set up. Hey, there it is. And I spelled things correctly today. That's good. I didn't add new weird ideas to what we're actually doing here. So, John, for the buttons, have you thought of adding a paper circle inside the button for labeling? Oh, you know stuff with Kirby. It's funny you should mention that because the arcade buttons that I'm using do have a paper circle or a white plastic circle or something inside of them there. So, and you can get to this if you, let's see if I have something I can, just grab a knife real quick. So if you pop open these arcade buttons, I guess I'm officially started, so let's get away from this coming up next nonsense. How about that? And hey, there we are in the workshop. So Kirby was asking about arcade button labeling. So if you pop open the tabs without cutting yourself, that's the cap, and inside of there is the actual switch. And cap here. Okay, well, it's just a piece of plastic. So yeah, you could draw on that if you like, paint it, add some little cutout template kind of stuff. So there's definitely some possibilities for labeling, which if you've checked out the Pocket operators, they have some really nice designs for the button labeling. And this is actually quite a bit more space, so you could get more on there, such as what's the sound if you use it in the sound bank mode, or what's the effect if you're using it as an effect. So definitely a cool idea. Oh, and I've put this together wrong, so now it's not going to work. I'm going to pop this open so I remember to fix that later. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about our Pocket Operator Arcade Briefcase again today. And thanks everyone for joining. And someone posted for anyone who's over in Twitch or Discord or in Facebook, the address for, not Discord, Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook. The address for the Discord chat is Adafruit, Adafru.it. That's Adafruit, adafru.it/discord, DISCORD. Go and check it out. It's pretty laggy. You're watching from Germany. So anyone else, tell me, are you having any lagginess issues with the broadcast? Let me know. I may or may not be able to do something about it at this point, but it looks like my CPU usage is actually pretty low, which is weird because the fan's been running on this computer a bit right before I started, and I didn't have a chance to restart, so crossing fingers that everything is okay. And, well, let's get to it. So, getting hard to watch. Jan Bridges, oh man, laggy, huh? Let me see if there's anything I can do. All right, I'm going to lose my YouTube chat for a second. I'm just going to quit. Yeah, and I'm going through a dedicated hard Ethernet line, so it shouldn't be bandwidth. I suspect well, I don't know. The CPU usage is actually listed as pretty low for this. So I will relaunch a Facebook over inside of Chrome. Thanks for putting up with the setup. Sorry for this, folks. It is, I promise you, I will give you the time back both in content and time. We'll go a little longer to make up for the setup time. So thank you, I appreciate it. And let me know in Discord if anyone is noticing any lagginess issues. I'd appreciate it. And also, one question sometimes is it laggy in a particular camera because that camera's got low bandwidth and a low ISO, which I think could be the case for my face cam. Or is it the whole stream itself that's being laggy? Let's see. Oh, I can see a replay of that, so I'm going to look. Yeah, they look all right to me. Yeah, the feed in the box. Someone just said, oh, thanks, Stuff. Yeah. How's this camera view? Laggy? Not laggy? The ISO on that one is, or the shutter speed is a little better. All right. Well, perfect, says Dylan. I'm going to go with perfect. Thank you, Dylan. So let's get to it. Let's get to the meat of this. So what we're going to do today, let me step over, in fact, out of this camera and over into this view over here. So if you were in the live stream, if you were in attendance for the live stream last week, you may recall that we put together this briefcase. So here's my briefcase, and it's pretty much unmodified other than removing a little tray in here, a little divider in here. So for today, we actually don't need this part. Everything else is in the laser cut acrylic that I made. That was the first version, and now this is the one I used last week. And so I got it all wired up. Let's see if it's actually running. Let me turn up the volume. I'm trying to do this upside down. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Okay, I'll hold the speaker closer to me. Okay, so... Oh, I wasn't changing the... Sorry, I wasn't changing the volume. There's the volume. Yeah, I knew it got louder than that. Okay, so I've got all the buttons wired up now. And what you're seeing from the back view here is where the speaker was. I've removed that temporarily. And the thought here today is to add some lighting. So I added this. I'm just going to move the camera a little bit. Hello, dog barking off in the background. You guys can hear that, right? It was weird. I was picking up a lot of far away stuff on this mic, which I usually don't. Something kooky's going on. And I don't think it's just that I have that SM58 hooked up because I disconnected that. So here I've got now a feather, and I have the feather proto wing on top of it, and I'm using that and the LiPo battery to power the whole system. And I made this little bracket to attach it to the back here instead of using the AA battery. So last time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last time I had the AA or the AAA batteries in there, and I realized I wouldn't be able to remove them. So I built and added this little, let me make this the full screen for you. Full screen there. About a little inset of, oh, is that inset not working? There we go. So I've added this here, which has screw terminals that I can add things to this little Feather M0. So Feather M0 can charge this 3.7 volt LiPo battery, and so I've added a little extender, USB cable extender, that for now is kind of unceremoniously sitting out there. So I could charge that, and then it's just being stepped down with a diode to 3 volts. There's a 3.3 output on the Feather, and I've stepped that down to 3.7. So, sorry, stepped down at 3.3 to 3. So 3 is what is powering all this, the pocket operator, and all of these are the inputs for it. So what I decided is let's, as our next step, add some lighting. So what I've done is I've just taken a, and of course this is way blown out, so I'm going to turn down the exposure here for a second. Let's see. Exposure. that's up. Okay, that's a little, whoa. Yeah, you gotta get really dark. Oh, that's actually white at the moment. Come on, colors. There we go. So for today, what I'm gonna do is just not worry about these lights being interactive in any way. We'll talk about that a bit later. But just how am I gonna get some lighting into this thing? So that's the topic we've got on hand. Okay, so if we have a look a little, oh, not ruin this camera view, a little lower down here, this is where the speaker is mounted. And so what I've done is I've put some longer M4 screws so that I'll be able to, I'm just going to offset it here, I'll be able to mount the speaker and leave a little gap between the speaker and my grill here that I laser cut out, and put inside of there a bunch of NeoPixels. So pardon me while I switch the camera around here. And these are some of the NeoPixels I'm planning to use. And so I'm going to pop up the chat over here, by the way. So bear with me while we find the Discord. And I'm just going to leave that one up for a second instead of finding the YouTube as well, because again, it's a little bit of a pain on this iPad. So a little max headroom-ish video-wise. Audio okay. Face cam is okay now? Yeah. Oh, and looks okay. Who knows, man? Who knows? I hope it's all working well for you. So the idea I have is to place these into some concentric rings and set them right between the speaker and that speaker grill. And I think I did a little bit of a test. I think we're not going to block too much audio, and that's a good thing because I want to still hear the thing coming through that speaker. There's enough gap there. And so the first thing I wanted to do was come up with a way to solder these together in sort of a proper orientation to start with, and with good spacing so they're not offset. So a couple things here. Let's see if I can pop this camera out a little bit. So when you're working with these NeoPixel rings, one issue you can run into is trying to figure out, well, which one is the first pixel on each of them, and that'll help you with orientation if you want to be able to address them somewhat intelligently. So this is 24 pixels in this one, and this is 16, and this is 7. So I'd kind of like to know that when I go from pixel 0 to 23, and then what will be the sort of virtual next pixel, it'll be in alignment with the first one on here. So if I'm doing like a spiral, I can do it nicely. So what I did was I took a completely unrelated Metro that I've strapped to a 5 AA battery pack. And this is just running some demo NeoPixel code. So I can, let's turn this on. So I can watch these, and right there in some of these first, you can see the colors a little better if they're reflected off of something. So where my thumb is there, that's the first pixel on this one. So I plugged each of these in just with some hookup wire and determined where those were. Don't need this now for a moment. And I put a little mark in silver. You can see it right there. So this mark is my first pixel, and so on. And actually the first pixel on these little jewels is in the center, but then the second pixel is up here. So those are kind of my 12 o'clock positions for these sets of NeoPixels. Funny thing I noticed is that in the demo code running, this big guy runs clockwise, and this little sort of medium one runs counterclockwise. So that's weird. And depending on your needs, you may need to do a little bit of funny stuff to code around it, like set up a table of the numbers out of order that you can address in order, make life easier, like a big array or something like that. So then I went and I took some measurements with calipers of these, my little friends, the NeoPixels, and I built some dividers or spacers to just hook between them while I'm soldering up some hookup wire that should hold it stable after I remove these. Rather than making something to clip in permanently, I decided I didn't want much interference between sound coming out and these NeoPixels in the way, or these little clips in the way. So these are actually, you can see here, this is actually the first layer brim from 3D printing that's sitting there, and I find actually that's sort of useful to leave on there while I'm working. I had talked to Noe and Pedro, and they have some cool in there's a gas mask project they did with NeoPixel rings, and they have some cool little concentric ring 3D models that they made, which you could use those for a similar sort of thing. And I was thinking of punching holes through them. I actually just ended up making these, and I looked at their model for a reality check. But so anyway, what I'm going to do, I think, best thing here is going to be to place my, let's do it this way so you can at least see it, and then I'll try to flip it around and do some soldering to make these little rings. So why don't we start with looking at my 12 o'clock position pointing up, and I'm going to set this in here like this. Get that, make sure that's in the camera for you. And these actually don't need to line up anywhere in particular because they're a pretty solid fit. So as long as you could probably get away with just 3 of these. In fact, as long as these are here, then the next ring to go on can't help but be in proper orientation or spacing. So that clicks on there pretty nice. And then the center one go like that. Now we have this neat little badge kind of thing. So I'm going to flip that over, and then what I'm going to do is go from, let's say, the data out, because I can see that one right here. I'm going to zoom my camera in even further as we do some of this stuff. Get it closer. Ooh, it stopped updating. What happened? That's weird. It decided not to get any closer. All right, let's try that again. Zoom. No, that's at its limit. All right, I can lower it. We have ways. Oh, look, a camera just died. Huh. All right, while you examine that, I'm going to go flip this camera over here on and off. That's that one that was overheating last summer, and it's like 80-something degrees here in LA, so that could be the case again. In the meantime, we'll click on a different camera view. Look at that one. Okay, this camera has fixed itself. Yeah, we'll see if that one survives. And I notice a lot of the times with this one, your little inset one, when I was playing arcade stuff, like on Show and Tell yesterday, it's always my head. It's always the back of my head here. Sorry about that. It's a hard habit to not look down at the stuff that you're working on. And then you can also say, hey, does my hair really look like that in the back? That's funny. Okay, so here on this view, what I'm going to do is wire what I can. Let me grab some glasses so I can see these guys up closer. And I've set those down. With solid core hookup wire. And so I'm going to use the wire both as the electrical connection and to some degree the structure. The mechanical structure that holds these in place. And I really haven't yet figured out how I'm going to connect this to the acrylic. So it probably would have been a wise idea to build these little clip things in a way that they have little tabs and ears, but I didn't. So we will improvise when we get to that part. So let's do, so yeah, I'll do data out to data in from that first ring because I can see that one. And how about yellow for that? And I'll get my snazzy snippers here. Let's see, can you see that view? You can. And what I'm going to try to do, this is a little cheesy, but I'm going to try to solder these from, do I have to do it? No, I don't have to do that from the backside. I can flip these over. I was thinking they would fall apart, but no, we've got them clipped together, so I don't have to do anything quite so cheesy. It's a little bit easier to pre-cut and strip these before either side gets soldered in place. So what I do in a case like this is I actually try to work out that spacing pretty well here. Let's go ahead and strip this side. I should have done that before I bent it. There we go. And so we'll push this through and then we can clip it. So you can see there I have a pretty decent fit right there. I'll flip this over and I'm going to solder those two. Oh, this guy's falling out. Looks good, yeah? Yeah. Okay. A little soldering music. By the way, because I was distracted trying to figure out my mic audio, I didn't play my little intro song. I was working on a fun little one with some other pocket operators, which are clearly my new obsession. And maybe I'll play a little of that at the end. Okay, get in there. I get away with a lot with this big-ish chisel tip, soldering tip. It's almost too big to do what we're doing here, but not quite. Did it, okay. So one concern I have is running, I want to see if I can get away running just off of that 3.7 volt. Same LiPo that's doing the M0. Power this off of that directly. If I can get away with that, that would be great rather than adding yet another power supply to deal with this. Now this is going to be running, everything will be running at 3.3, which is sometimes not ideal with NeoPixels, so we'll see how that goes. It would be better to run them with 5 volt and then use a logic level converter and all that jazz. But, okay, so there's our data input, and what else can we connect? How about these two grounds? There's a couple grounds here that are nice, nice and stable if we put them together. So let's get some black wire. Same sort of thing. We'll strip the ends. Whoa. Sometimes if you got some insulation stuck in the jaws there, it doesn't strip very well. And it's helpful to take some needle nose pliers and kind of wiggle your insulation around a little bit. So let's see how we do on that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Bend this right about there. You can probably see what I'm doing a little better. Which way? That way? How about these two? Did something weird just happen? I feel like I measured the other ones and then it fit this one. I did something wrong. But that's all right. Got a couple grounds there. So there we go. Flip it. What's happening to my clips there? Oh, it's just this is in the way. Hey, back in there. Ground to ground. Stay. Good. You can see that, right? Barely. Okay. I'm just going to hit this focus lock. See if it does. No, it didn't really change. Okay. So now, hey, again, if you're doing this at home, please have adequate ventilation or a fan and just blow on your solder smoke like I just did. But my fan is noisy, and so I'm sparing you from that. Okay, so that's fairly stable between those guys. I feel like we could now do this power to power here, and then the main, at that point we have 3 connections between the outer and the inner ring, and those are the 3 we need, and then we'll move on to the inner guy and see how we handle that. That's looking pretty good. So let's grab some red hookup wire. By the way, on the main, on this guy here, I have been, as I feared, running into some issues with the couple of these tiny wires I've broken off and had to resolder. And my ground is a little flaky over here, so I've soldered a second ground, and I don't know if it's the PCB there got flexed, but I feel like I could need to do some additional robustification at some point there of this wiring so that I don't get all this hooked up and then have flaky buttons. So if you go there, all right, here's my, try that again. So I'll bend this to here. I'll trim it at about this spot. And then I'll mark that with a fingernail, and that's where I will get the razor on this. Snick. And now we feed power to power. Yeah, so depending on, so by the way, these are RGBW. These are all, this is another important thing to check out. If you have a lot of different NeoPixels in your life, which is a good thing, you do have to, when you use multiple sets in a project, be careful not to mix and match the RGB only ones and the RGBW ones, because the code is a little different for the NeoPixel code, and if you try to run RGB code on an RGBW strand, you end up with a lot of strange multicolored weirdness. And actually, I don't know in the other direction. Probably the same. So I made sure that these were all RGBW before I started, because I had one of these little guys in a regular, and you can tell this has like a, I think these are the warm ones, and they do have kind of an amberish, yellowish look to, you see that there? To the white NeoPixel itself, or what you can see through that lens. The cool ones might have a different color, and the regular RGB ones are pure white, so that at least is a sign. All right, so let's clip off a little of that jazz there. It looks clean, good. Okay, so now for our little friend here, let me try to peel off some of this. Actually, I'm just going to get scissors. That'll be easier than peeling. That's the little brim material from my 3D print. I'm just going to clip that off so I can, let's do that on all 3 of those, or all 4 of those. I can count 2. And then maybe we'll be able to see. This is, by the way, a highly OCD kind of way to space these. You could certainly get really close eyeballing it, and it's a luxury to do it with 3D printed brackets. You don't really have to do it that way. All right, did I lose my, okay, there's my, make sure my up direction remains the same. Oh, good. This actually won't work the way I did now because it's flexed too much. All right, so I'm going to, oh, yeah, there we go. It's sort of staying put. All right, so these guys, let's see, is that one, I think that's another ground. I'm actually going to grab, because I want to grab some nearby points to use. Okay, so who's this? I'm actually going to get my continuity checker out so that I don't screw that up, because you don't want to find out once you've hooked it up and try turning on the lights that everything is in a funny spot. And what are you telling me you should keep a secret? What's going on here? So many new folks. Oh, nice approach to alignment. Thank you. You will know if I develop a bald spot long before I do. Thank you, Dave. That's absolutely true. Just laying it all out on the line here. Okay, so let's see. This should work, right? Data one you can't, but with these you can. Yeah, so those are both power, and those are both ground. Good, okay. So I'm going to go from this ground to that ground. Power, I'm going to jump across over to there. And this guy, I got to find his data out once I get these other ones on. How about that? There's a plan. So what am I looking at? We'll do the ground first. Let me snip that. Yeah, looking at yourself on camera, and Dave, I know you're starting to do some live streaming. It's a weird thing, especially when you see it like lagging on another monitor while you're doing stuff. You get this weird echo of, wait, what's going on? All right, so that one's ground. Okay, so ground to ground right there. And let's do that one. Okay. So yeah, this is where my alignment is going to suffer, I think, because I snipped away that stuff and it's not as. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just solder that in place, and then I can bend it to my will to get it where I want. Yeah, this is, you know, it might have been a good idea to make this as just a concentric ring thing with spacers for the soldering, like a jig. Realizing it wouldn't matter if it were a big solid thing, because I'm not going to leave any of it in there once we go to install it. So maybe that was a good plan. So okay, that one went in nice. And if I bring, sorry, I just got that out of camera view for you. Let's clip this down. This one freaks me out a little bit because it says, on the silk screen on that one, it says power signal ground. And for some reason I see power first and I go, wait, is that ground or is that not? And then you read the rest of the way. Okay, yeah, so let's just solder that and then we'll see if I need to bend it, I need to bend it. This is being, like I say, pretty finicky, considering it'll be hidden behind the rings of that grill. Well, it looks good. I think that alignment is pretty decent. And did I keep my up? Yes. By the way, the marker I used for that is the same Molico liquid chrome marker that I used for my giant Metro extra large. If you ever saw that board that I CNC'd, and then I painted in the Adafruit logo with this liquid chrome. I love this stuff. This is unbelievably chrominess. It's like a paint pen. I dig them. Okay, so that one, that's good. You know, at this point, I can pop out these because that's stiff enough wire that he's not going anywhere. Goodbye, little jig guys. Okay, so next up we'll do, let's see, here's a data out to a data out. I can do those look nice. And I'll just keep it yellow. I always have such big plans. Actually, this is simple enough that I didn't draw it up in fritzing, but sometimes I'll draw things up in fritzing and I'll have big plans where everything is going to be super clear based on color coding, and then I run out of colors in real life of wire before I run out of colors inside of fritzing, like purple and pink, and I only have one of those. I'm always on the lookout for smaller, better wire too. I really like the silicone stranded 30 gauge stuff that we have in the Adafruit store for a lot of things, because it just doesn't get so much strain put on it when you shove things inside of enclosures. I do like that stuff. All right, so this one we'll have to twist a little sideways like that. Get in there. Data out to, whoops, I did that wrong, to ground. I bet everyone was yelling in the chat, don't do it. Data out, no, that's data out to data out. Jeez Louise, oh, I can't do this at all. All right, I gotta check, was everyone freaking out? Out to in, dude. Thank you. Yes. All right, so I measured that one wrong. That one goes on the floor. Take two. Out to out. That does not give you any results that you would care for. So I say out. Where's in? In zone here. Okay. Let's mark it. Bend it. Trim it. This is almost a Daft Punk song. Mark it. Bend it. Trim it. Okay, here we go. I have lost it. I've got it. Okay, beautiful. That's out to in. It's good to have friends watching out for you on the forums. In fact, I probably make, I don't know, it could be a wash, but you tend to make some mistakes because you're talking while you're working when you're doing this stuff in a live stream, but at least there's other people, like lots of them, to catch you making mistakes before you commit to them. All right, and now we just need power on this little guy. So let's find a power. There's a power. And where's this guy's power? Over there. All right, so red wire. Yeah, so I had thought about doing like a strand of NeoPixels under each button, sort of like the sequencer LEDs that are on the device itself, but that's not really gonna work out as far as my microcontroller isn't really gonna know where the Pocket Operator's sequencer lights are, what they're up to, because I'm not entering, I don't have a crazy sophisticated program planned on the Feather where everything I do on the Pocket Operator is somehow stored on the Feather, so there's no way to really sync up, you know, when you switch between different sound banks to know what slots inside of the sequencer are actually using those. So rather than kind of confuse things, I decided to just make this cool light up speaker area instead. So that's power to power, yes. And then what I'm going to do on Lamore's suggestion is take a look at doing reactive lighting using the FFT library for the Zero. This is a, oh man, this soldering iron tip is too big to get in there without sort of melting stuff, but I think I did it. And so with the FFT library, there should be some cool visualizations possible. Yeah, that's pretty good. By just listening to what the kind of combined output of everything is going out the speaker on this thing. So I don't think we'll get to that. I know we won't get to that this week, but I think that is going to be my plan for the next one. All right, so there we go. We have sort of mostly centered, close enough. I'm going to double check everything now. So alignment-wise, we're good. Data in, we still have to come into this thing. So I need to wire ground and power. But then data from the first strand goes out to the second strand, that goes out to the dot. Those are all good. And then power to power to power to power, ground to ground to ground to ground. That looks good. Here, let's switch camera views for a second, just for the heck of it. Why not? So switch that to that. Oh, that camera died again? Oh, let's not do that then. How about the overhead? I will wave. Hi, everybody. So, yeah, let's take, let me flip this camera up here and make that one big again. That is a good view for what we're doing here. The output on, can I bring that up? I gotta bring this up higher, sorry. There we go. So there's the Feather, and I have the little Feather proto wing on it. This has screw terminals that I've screwed a little JST connector to, and that's what I was testing this existing little strand with. I just kind of unceremoniously plugged that into there. So what I want to do is hook up another one of these guys. You see that in the big camera view better, actually. I'm going to hook up the male side to the NeoPixel concentric rings, and then that'll be able to plug right up into that board. So let me back this view out for a second so you can see what I'm talking about on the board itself, and then we'll determine if this is enough slack for what we're doing. So let's make that big, and we'll make this small. Okay, so there we go. There's a full view of the back. So here is the wiring coming down off of the Metro, of the Feather. and this is where the neopixels are going to sit. And here's this guy to connect up there. I think that'll work well. You know, I wouldn't mind having some silicon stranded wire in there so that it takes some of the strain off, but I think in the interest of doing it and getting this done, I will go straight to soldering this on. So these, in fact, I think I've already tinned, yeah. And I also have this habit of a hard-earned lesson with these. Actually, when I was working on that Lucio Blaster, I burned out a big neopixel ring by reversing my ground and my power. And so on these, I always just mark silver on the same side. There's a consistent side that I use, and I do that on, I actually plug the male and the female with these little pigtails together, and I just draw a stripe up so that I don't confuse those later. So, so this I know is the ground, and this is gonna, I think, head up like this. So I will probably do ground there, power here, and data in up there. That looks reasonable. In fact, those are my only choices. So beautiful. Let's do that. So let's do this as the ground, and I can zoom you in again. If you're curious, by the way, I know Dave, because you're doing getting your equipment together for live streaming. This, I'm using the same down shooter here that Lamore and Phil are using, which is a brand called Hover Cam. And it's a pretty decent HDMI down shooter. There's a lot of down shooters out there. Teachers use them a ton. They tend to be USB. And if you can get ones with HDMI out, it plays better usually with broadcast software like Wirecast or, what is it, OBD? ODB? ODB, I think. I'm just checking the chat here. No one's screaming. Good, good. Yes, you are watching my every move. I appreciate it. Thank you. Did you guys see the cool panel thing that C. Grover posted? I think last night. He's built this cool sort of power supply looking box to program feathers while keeping an eye on power consumption. I hope I got that right. Anyway, did a beautiful job. Powder coated case and a panel meter with cool sequin lighting, cool LED sequins. Looks super cool. I love looking at the stuff people build that they share either on the Show and Tell chat inside a Discord or come on the Show and Tell and elsewhere. Okay. And then this one's going to go up here, and I'll actually trim that for a little bit of neatness. Strip that. And then I hope that is the orientation I end up using. Yeah, it should be. Oh, I hate these little errant strands, and I will usually tin the wire to avoid that. Grab a helping hand for a second and just tin that. You can see that? Yeah. I should probably put my hand here and give you a focus. Focus lock. Yes, maybe. I don't know that that improved it. All right. Go away, smoke. Another behind-the-scenes tip. I have a steel workbench, and I topped it with a maple butcher block top. And it works well for me. By having the steel, I can use magnets all over the place. So I have those little magnetic bottomed helping hands. Sorry, I made this, I tinned this a little gloppily, so it doesn't want to fit in there anymore. And so that's why you'll see me violently grab magnets and stab them down. There we go. Yes, sorry, I hope I did that in camera view for you. All right, how are we doing on time? 1:42 on my slow clock, I think, right? It's probably 145. All right, that looks like something. We got something going on there. I'm going to retrace everything real quick because it sucks to blow these things up at this point. So ground is my silver line there, yes, and center one is data in, and the one on the far side of my ground is my power. And G to ground, 5 volt, 5 volt, 5 volt, ground, ground. Where's my other ground? Ground, ground. Data, in, out, in, out, in. This looks clear and ready. So let's see. I think I will plug that right into this here. It may not be able to handle it, but we'll see. And I'm confirming that that orientation is my silver. Yes, and there's my little silver marking. Okay. This is off. And can it handle it? Something's not happening. Is this on? No, I turned it off. Okay, that's on. Let's, oh goody. Let's see, I'm going to test this little this little smaller one here for a second. Oh, and I'm going to check this chat to see if someone says you did something terrible. If you ever need an idea, you can build a countdown timer for the show. I like that. Okay. So this should be, let's turn this off. Actually, I want to make sure this thing just didn't run out of juice. I can plug it into USB if it did. Are you making noise? Yes. Okay, that's a good sign. Let's go off. All right, so let's let that plane go by. See if it lights this guy. Okay, that's good. Or is it bad? Let's see. Oh. Do I have that wrong? No. Oh, what did I do? Huh. Hope I didn't blow it up. This looks wrong. Let's see if I can show you this. I didn't follow my own. Yeah, I have all the silver markings in the world, but I screwed these things into the wrong place. Oh, goody. I really hope I didn't blow that up. So it doesn't help if you mark the wires and then screw them into the wrong thing. So I have a silver marked one, and when I looked up here and checked it, I wasn't paying enough attention to what it was plugged into, and that's not in ground. So there's the silver. Oh, no, silver is in ground. What? Oh, I just have... Okay, the correct wire was there. I marked that wrong, though. I have 2 markings. That doesn't help. Okay, so ground is in the right spot. Shoe. And this is in pin 12, which is what's telling it to turn on the data line. Let me get that back in there. And then we start to wonder about power consumption. I may need to put a sketch on here that just lights them one at a time, not turn them all on, because it could be that I'm not sufficiently powering that giant glob of neopixels. That's kind of likely, actually. Okay, good. At least I didn't blow. I doubt I blew anything up. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm actually going to leave it on for a little bit and see if there are any parts of this. Put it somewhere where you can see it. It wants to fall. Any parts of this cycle that have minimal lights on. If not, I'm going to reprogram it in Arduino. And I tested these rings individually too, so I know they work. Nothing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually triple check now the connections, all of them, and then look at putting some different software on here. So let's have, I'm going to flip this down. I will check the, my lifeline here. I will check the chat to see. Yeah, Dave, it's a Hovercam Ultra 8, and for some reason they became hard to find. I think they were revving them, but you can find them online. Let's see, no one has anything to shout at me that I've done super wrong. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got data in on the center line here, and that is, yes, the pin 12 on the feather. Ground is this silver outer leg, and it is the outer leg which is running to ground up here. And the right is going to power 5 volts. That doesn't look like it. Well, I was soldering it from the other side, so it should be okay. But let's, while we're here, touch up these solder joints. Oh, that's terrible. Can you see that? It is not wanting to. Okay, so ground, data in, data out, data out, data in. 5 volts is coming from here, and then should be traveling down to the next guy, the next guy, the next guy. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing I want to try now is running it off of this Metro that has the AA batteries, because there's a chance that if it runs there, then I'll have a better idea of what to do on the arcade briefcase, which is probably going to be give it a separate power supply for the NeoPixels, because that's a lot of NeoPixels. Let's see if I can grab, yeah, I'm going to grab another one of these little pigtail guys to place in here. Let me move that into camera view. And then I can try to run it off of the Metro. So let's get the big pile of JST connectors. So this is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to double check take a multimeter and check that the power is coming through. That's a good idea too. So let's see. Let's try that. Thank you. And also I should just make sure that these ends are lined up when I plug them in, right? I wonder if this wire is actually, sometimes the little crimp connectors in there can go funny. Let me turn the camera over here. Okay, so I'm going to turn on, and I'll just try the wiggle test. Sometimes if you just press on stuff and you see it flicker, that's a sign. Okay, so let's see if I can tilt this down. I can use my voltmeter to check. And I'll point this camera here. All right, so let's just check. This is where ground and power are coming in, and I'm seeing nothing. Why am I seeing nothing there? Gosh, I hope that JST wire isn't just bad. Let's check continuity between those. So this is the old, does the wire actually go where you think it goes test. And that one does not. Really? Why not? Where's the data in? Wait, yeah, these are. So ground is good. Power is, oh, is it? Oh, I think it's flaky. Is it flaky? No? No, 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 no. I was not pressing hard enough here. And where's my in? Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing here. And so if you can see both hands here, I'm doing a really stylish hold this with your pinkies, touch that there, and jam this in here. Okay, it does seem like this cable connector is all right. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to assume the power is coming out of it just because when I plug that other littler NeoPixel ring in, it was working. So I'm going to take, where's that other little JST? I'm going to strip this so I can plug it in. You can see there's my silver wire, and I can verify that that lines up with the ground. So I'm going to strip these and not remove all of my silver wire. So mark that back up. Sorry I'm spending so much time on this today, but it's a realistic portrayal of project building troubleshooting. Hopefully we get to shoot the trouble. Okay, so now in my Metro here, this sort of designed to confuse myself. I'm actually running off of pin 6, so I kind of have to remember, even though I was running off of pin 12 up on the feather, to plug this into the right guy. Stranded wire doesn't always work so hot inside of these headers. It can help to tin them or to not use stranded wire. So let's try, just for kicks, I'll try the 3-volt out on this Metro, since that's what I've got on the feather. If that doesn't work, I'll try the 5, and if that works, that'll be a bit more conclusive evidence as to what needs to change to run all those things. I may have gotten a little greedy with the number of NeoPixels, but I really liked that those 3 rings worked together, so I may just have to add oomph. Okay, these are driving me crazy. I'm going to tin them. No, wait, I'll try one last time. Get in there. Okay, that's reasonably in there. And now let's plug in our big ring here. Turn on this. Hey, nothing. And that's the 3-volt, right? Yeah, okay, so now let's turn that off and plug in the 5. I'm worried about those little stray wires shorting it. They look okay, though. Are they shorting it? No. Reality check again. Let's do this one on. So that was the 5 and ground. Did I run out of battery on this one? No. Oh, I didn't. Did I not have it on? I don't think I had it on. That's weird. I felt like I flipped it, but I did not see the... Unless I got some short situation going on with my... It's possible that somehow this NeoPixel setup I've got is shorting something. Let's see. Let's pull these apart further. So there is my ground. Okay. One last try here. So let's do your ground. We'll do the 3. Okay, so I'm watching, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a little green LED right here on the Metro. That's the power. It's still on. Let's see if it shuts off. Okay, it has not shut off. It has not, however, turned on these NeoPixels. Let's switch over to the 5-volt. See, it's shutting it off. Huh. What's going on there? Do I have something horrible with my NeoPixel wiring? I swear it looks clean. Yeah, look at that. That's I got a short somewhere. Somewhere among this, it would seem. Okay, so this is not as fun as having it all work, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out the middle ring. I'm just going to cut, let's say, ground. Let's do that. And see, does this fix it now if it's only the outer ring? I can make a light come on. That would be nice. All right, so we'll try the 3 volt. Why not? So this will be ground. This will be the 6. And this is, let's try the 5, since that's what it really wants. And that's shutting it off. Wow, something's wrong with this NeoPixel ring, because it turns off that. What have I done wrong here? Anyone in the Metro has power? Yeah. Yeah, an analog meter would be good for this. You know, I'm just going to I'm going to cut this connector off and just see in case there's like a short inside of that connector or something. Because at this point, if I have just this outer ring and it doesn't work, then I'll snip all the other connections to the other rings, but now it's just straight 3 wires. How could that go wrong, right? Welcome to the troubleshooting show. Okay, I'm going to turn the Metro off for good measure. This is data in. That's from 6. This is ground. Unless these are labeled wrong on the silk screen. Does anyone remember if we had like a batch of NeoPixels where it says, by the way, we labeled them backwards? And I'm pretty sure I tested all of these individually before. And I'll put this into 5. Nope. Huh. You tell me, folks. All right, I'll cut the other connections. So sorry, the workshop today is, can I light a single NeoPixel ring? Okay, this is clearly labeled ground, clearly labeled 5 volt, clearly labeled data in. I'm turning off the Metro. I'm plugging data into 6, plugging in power to 5 volts. Now, I am not following exact NeoPixel procedure by having a capacitor. And it's possible that when it plugs in, it's just too big of a draw. I bet that's it, actually. I probably should have tried that, huh? Yeah, I bet that's it. All right, let's see. We have a minute or so. I'm just going to wish that I hadn't cut everything apart. Because I have a strong suspicion that introducing a big fat cap here is going to save the day. Okay, so let's see. We'll go, how do I want to do this? I'll go, this is the positive leg of the capacitor. It'll go, I'm putting the negative one in the 5 volts. The positive one, I'm using an alligator clip. Let's see, can I zoom this out for you any further than it is? Yeah. I'll lift this up too. Okay, so power, where are you? Oh wait, no, that time I just did it straight wrong. Good grief. But I'm going to try the capacitor in a second because I have a strong suspicion that that is what's been happening when we try to turn this on and it is in the middle of, in the beginning of the cycle, it just tries to turn on every LED all at once. I bet I've just been sucking down too much current. Yeah, so that doesn't want to turn on now. Let's introduce a capacitor on the 5 volt. And that is going to the power. Ground is in ground, 6 volt is there. Okay, that's a good sign. It has powered on the Metro. It did not flip out that time, but why is it not actually running the cycle? Yeah, the little cap is not series, it's parallel. Do I want to have those across ground and 5 volt? Is that right? Someone remind me. Someone remind me of the proper... Yeah, look, let's just to have a sanity check, I'm going to plug in the little one again. So that one works. Bridge the PSU leads with the cap. Strip in ground, other in 5 volt. Okay. So let's try that. Let's see if I can just make these legs do what we want. All right, so this is negative, where this little stripe is here. So I'm going to go ground and 5 volt with those, and then I'm just going to try to use alligator clips to connect. So this again is data in. Apologies everyone for not working this out before the show. This project is being built in real time. Hopefully it's instructive for some people or interesting. So here is positive. Here is negative. Here goes nothing. Nope. No, that's not turning on. What am I doing wrong there? Nothing's getting hot. That's a good sign. Yeah, as soon as I hook up this NeoPixel ring, it goes poof. I wonder if there's just some issue. Oh, geez. I wonder if I shorted something when I was soldering. Remember I was saying that was a big soldering iron to be using? I suspect I have bridged something. Get a solder sucker out. I am determined to make this thing light up. If nothing else, I want the one big ring to light. Yeah, let's hold this down. Magnet to the rescue. Yeah, I think there's a chance that that one blob of solder did me in. So that is... Shoot, I think that was touching a leg on one little LED, I swear. All right, well, let's... we'll try it from here, though. We'll keep the capacitor. We'll use the same setup, and then if it does work, we can start breaking it down and seeing what's necessary and what's not. All right, so that's signal, yeah. Input. There's the 5. There's, and turn off the Metro. Positive. Ta-da! Never have I been so happy to see the little demo thing. All right. Well, I'm going to... Yeah, Hopefully it protected the input on the micro, right? Yeah, the Metro is pretty robust. I hope the Feather is too, but we'll see. All right, so that's as far as I can take trying to get this silly thing to work right now. Let me step back over to the machine, over to the computer for a second, and see if there's any other thoughts in the chat, and let's talk about where this is going, as well as I'm going to play us out with a little music. So that was a whole lot of fun, huh? The joys of troubleshooting electronics. Yeah, I got it fixed because I had a solder blob. I had a solder blob, right? Remember how I was all proud of, yeah, I'm using my big fat soldering iron, but it still fits, except like the ground here, I had bridged a blob of it to probably the power side of one of the NeoPixels. So it was just a stupid, boneheaded solder blob. Yeah. Keeps us all humble. Feeling very humble today, that's for sure. I was expecting us to have some cool... Hey, let's look at this, though, at least for a second. Let's see if I can... I'm going to turn this camera back off and on, the one that went down today. I swear I've seen people who've put big heat sinks on the backs of some of these Sony cameras, and I really don't want to have to do that, but maybe I will. Let's go there. I'm going to zoom in for a second. So, since we at least got one light doing something today, if I can keep this from becoming disconnected, move my speaker out of the way. And I might have to turn down our shutter a little bit, our exposure. You see that? Yeah, there we go. That's going to be the idea, right? We're going to have a whole huge fun chunk of LED lighting going on in there, and using the fast Fourier transform to do some interesting things with the sounds as they come through. And this, I think what I'm going to do is use this little electret microphone and amplifier breakout that we have to listen in on what's coming out of that speaker, because that speaker is actually a PWM'd, essentially AC. It doesn't really have a negative, so I can't hook directly from the outputs that go to that speaker off of the back of the pocket operator into this little Metro. So as cheesy as it seems like probably the best way is going to be to just listen in. This is like $7 and I have it laying around. That'll actually be faster and easier, especially if I'm soldering things like I did today, than building a little sort of transformer circuit. I was talking to my buddy Todd Kurt, and he had some ideas about doing a little transformer circuit so that I could pull that PWM in. But that's probably going to work on once I finish putting this ring in. I'll probably show the ring lighting on the next show and tell, and then after that I'll be working on adding the FFT and the microphone, which would be pretty cool. And you know what? Since I had it ready to go, let's see. Oh yeah. I have to put on some headphones so I can hear what's going on here. This is one of the subs and the little tonic drum machine. Going to be our intro music today, but I forgot. Hey, and speaking of forgetting, check this out. Coupon code today for the show, 10% off if you use the code Hudson. Turn that back down. Oh gosh, you guys are not having the solder-solder debate, are you? That one is just straight down the middle. Half of the population says one and half says the other. It's mostly British people who throw the L in there, I think, and then they think I'm a freak. Solder, that's what we say here in the US of A, for the most part. So there you go. There's your 10% off coupon code. The word is Hudson. And that will get you 10% off of your order, with the exception of gift certificates. Yeah, everything's working now, Nico. Thanks, people on YouTube, for coming and checking out. I had a yeah, diffusion. Sorry, I'm distracted here. Diffusion effect with something in front of there could be kind of cool for the lighting. Yes. So that didn't work because I was shorting the whole thing out right at the first ring. I had a big blob of solder when I had soldered on the ground wire to that first one. John, ADAT project is going great. I showed it a couple weeks ago. The unpainted one is full, other than I'm working with Brian on adding some audio, some dialogue to it. Let's see, I don't know if this guy's charged up and working, but he should be. Yeah, so you can see his little lights in there. Hello. He's got his little buttons for sounds under there. Hear it better here. Yes, that guy is doing well. I just want to finish selecting the sounds and getting those on there with Brian, and then I think he may just repaint that one. I might leave the other one as is. We'll see. So let's see. Yeah, audio's working from it, Yanni, and I can do music as well on that one. And this one over here, this one will do. It's about the loudest I'll get out of that little speaker, and that'll be behind our little lights. So that's the state of things. Thank you for tuning in. I'm John Park. This was John Park's workshop on Adafruit. And once again, if you are going to go and buy some cool stuff at the store to build your own projects like these, the coupon code today is Hudson. And I will see you next week. I'm going to bring my arcade briefcase back on to show and tell with lights working. Thank you all for helping me through the troubleshooting process of that. A lot of fun. Hopefully I didn't blow up the feather that's on there. If I did, it'll pull right off of the proto board I have it on. So then we'll work on getting in the microphone and the FFT to make some cool reactive lighting as music is played. And I'm going to hang out in the chat a little bit. Actually, someone asked in YouTube, and I'll answer that here. The coin op I made, can that be used for PC? So coin op guide just went up. I will pull that up real quick, and you can take a look. I have to do a blog post about this, which I haven't done yet, but we have, let me pop this up real quick. We have the coin box for the Picade, and I'm about to share a screen view of this on the fly here. Let's do screen capture of a new window. We'll select, where'd you go, Chrome? Chrome, that's it. Okay, so this is the guide for building a coin box and using the programmable coin acceptor. The coin acceptor, actually, when I built this on the show, I was using like 40 pulses when I put in a quarter and 10 pulses when I put in something else, and I was just sort of differentiating them, and I had a feather microcontroller along with a relay in the middle. And then as I was working on the guide, Lady Ada said, I don't think you need the feather in here or the relay. And of course she was right. The relay, maybe you'd use if you had mechanical switches or solenoids or something on an old pinball table or something like that, but didn't need it. And then we realized you can program the coin acceptor to pulse just one time when it gets a quarter, and 2 times when it gets a 50-cent piece, and 4 times when it gets a Sacagawea dollar coin, or however you want to program it. Up to 4 coins can be programmed. And 1 pulse is good enough to get the Picade board, which is what I'm running my little arcade with, to do an insert coin. If you wanted to use this on a PC, you would probably stick something in the middle. So like that feather, you could put back into the middle. If you used a feather that is an M0 or a 32U4, they can speak HID. And so you could have it receive the pulse from the coin box, and then it can send off a keyboard shortcut to your PC. So yes, and someone asks on YouTube, it accepts coins from other countries. The only issue with it is coins that have a hole in the center. It can fail on those because I think one of the things it uses to determine which coin it's seeing is a break beam sensor of some kind, and it sees 2 flashes when a coin with a hole in it goes through. David Boyd says you could use a trinket with the HID library. Okay, great. I didn't know we could do that. Can we do that? Yeah, of course we can. Yep. So trinket M0 in particular would be a good choice for that. It's small, has a few outs and ins. A gemma would work. And that would be the best way probably that I can think of to use the Coinbox on the PC for something. I think I'm going to do some future Coinbox projects that do use the relay or even a big power relay to do something fun, so keep an eye out for that. But yes, thanks for asking about that, and I am going to sign off now, so thank you everyone, and I'll hang out over in the Discord chat. So see you next time. Bye-bye.